Hey everyone, and welcome back to Ideanthro. Now in today's episode, we're taking a look at the surface of bioretention systems again, and we're looking at another, I suppose, design feature or design attribute that you might see when you come out and look at them. So if you're involved in maintenance of bioretention systems, this is an important one for you because you can find different designs, different ways the surfaces of bioretention systems are dealt with, and that affects how you maintain them. So let's get into it. Today, we are talking about when you come out to bioretention systems and you find them with gravel on the surface. Now in Queensland, Australia, where I am from, this is not recommended, but we still see it done, and therefore it's worth understanding why and what it means for maintenance, and why if you're a designer, maybe you don't want to do this, or maybe because you have a special instance you do want to do it, or so on and so forth. So we need to understand it. So gravel, in this instance, let's have a little bit of a dig around here and see what we actually have. So we've got this larger gravel on the surface. I need to spin around because I'm casting a shadow. We have this larger gravel on the surface. It is a little bit hot to the touch. It's not crazy. It is currently March. By the way, I'm in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. So it's March, it's kind of early autumn, but like we're just coming out of summer. So it's really still relatively hot at this time of year. And so we've got this fairly thick layer of this larger gravel. Now there is also some smaller gravel beneath there, but I'm not going to be able to get through it because of this, this fine sediment that we see trapped on the surface. So there's a few things we need to know about rocks and gravel and bioretention systems. So the first reason, so look, the reason that people might specify them in a bioretention system, or specify gravel in a bioretention system, is one, to prevent erosion, and two, to try and suppress weeds and keep moisture in the system. And you can see it's actually doing an okay job at keeping moisture in the system there. Hopefully you can see it, the fact that it's a bit darker coloured once we get down a little bit. So suppress weeds, keep moisture in the system, and prevent erosion. And those are all good things to do. But there's also a few problems with gravel. One of which is what I alluded to just before, is that it can heat up, particularly in summer. So again, I'm from Queensland, but this applies in Victoria as well. We can get days in like the mid 30s, even hit the 40s on the odd occasion. And that means the gravel can really heat up in there. Now it's not such an issue once you have big plants established, like this Lomandra here, that are actually shading out the gravel. I bet that if I was to get in underneath those, the gravel beneath it's probably really nice and cool. But it is a problem when we have young plants in the system, because the gravel can get really hot and can cause a lot of heat stress to the young tube stock, and can effectively cause them to wilt far quicker than they should. So it can be quite hard to get a system established with all that extra heat kicking around in there. The second thing that can be a problem, and this varies on the species a little bit, but gravel can, and this is more if you have a bigger rock, but it can also restrict plant spreading. So you can see this Vaccinium nodosa is doing okay, kind of pushing its way through the gravel. So it's spreading sideways out underneath it, and then new shoots are coming up through the edge. So it's doing okay, but again the gravel's not ideal from that point of view. The other challenging feature though that we've got with gravel, and this will make more sense up here. So I'm at a stormwater harvesting bioretention system in a park in Melbourne, and this system's divided into a few cells. So let's actually get up the top. So you can see I've been looking at the second cell of the system here, and we're now walking back up towards the top, and this is the first cell. And I'll just give you a little bit of context about this system. So as we're walking up the top, you can probably see coming into shot in the corner there is a surcharge pit. So that's how the water enters this system, and the idea is that it flows along this metal channel, which runs right the way through the system and acts like a great big long weir to evenly distribute the water through the system. And there's like 4, maybe 5 cells to this, which the water gets out of. Now what I've noticed happening here is that the inlet to this system, there's obviously a lot of fine sediment coming in when it surcharges out of there, because we've got this build-up of fine sediment on the surface in this cell, but not in the others. So this cell, it's got this fine sediment and some organic matter, but lots of fine sediment. Literally on the surface, it's pretty much covered up the gravel. In the second cell, where we were before, the fine sediment is definitely in there, but it hasn't filled all the way up just yet. So I dug down a little bit and I hit the sediment once I got a few centimeters down. So it's definitely getting in there, but it's not as deep. And the problem with this is, so all bioretention systems are going to get some fine sediment onto them. If they get too much, it can definitely cause them to clog up in any instance. If they get a little though, and you know, it's a system that say has just some leaf litter and some mulch on the top of the system, then the plants can deal with that fine sediment relatively well, because through the constant growth and dieback, they can help to break up the system and to keep it draining freely. I've got some really good examples of this that I'll talk about in other videos. The problem though with the gravel, and this kind of relates to the plant growth issue we talked about before, is that if the plant's growth is being restricted by the gravel, which to some respect we are here, and then the fine sediment gets into the gravel, the plants can't, you know, aren't growing as much, aren't dying back in the same way. There's not that kind of movement, so to speak, over time to help break that system up. So you can find areas that start to form crusts like this is doing. There's definitely some crusting happening here and blocking it up. Now I haven't done any in situ hydraulic conductivity testing to actually know if this is draining slower, but my gut feeling says that it is. So we've got a challenge there with the gravel for sure. So we've got a few challenges. We've got the heat issue, we've got this sediment building up in it issue. I'm going to walk back down to the second cell here. So into cell 2, I'll demonstrate to you what I just mentioned before about, you know, the fine sediment's not as deep in this system, but it is still definitely getting into this second cell. Here we go. Jump down into here, back to the hole that we were digging in initially. So you can see it there. Gravel, much cleaner on the surface than the first cell. But then, hopefully you can pick that up in the video. There, just in here, there's a lot more fine silt in there. You can maybe see that on the end of my finger just from touching that fine silt there. So we will go for a quick ronda down the full extent of this system while we're here, and just to demonstrate what else is beneath it. I'm supposed to demonstrate that in terms of retaining some moisture beneath the system, the gravel can actually do an okay job of that, because the first spot I dug around in the system is right down this end where we don't have any sediment issues going on. Wander, 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 wander. Keep walking, all the way down we go, past these very happy isolepsis. This spot's probably as good as any other. Don't cast you a shadow. Okay, I'm going to dig in here. I dig down just a little bit, get down into it. There's this finer gravel underneath, and it starts to get much cooler and much moister. I'm good at keeping the moisture in. Okay, so let's sum this up. Gravel in systems, generally not recommended because heats up, kills young plants, can also be an issue if you've got some fine sediment coming in, can inhibit the basin's ability to, you know, kind of self-manage that using the plants. If it's already there, so let's talk maintenance. If it's already there, because there's going to be some systems where it's already there, well then you have to start to make those pragmatic decisions about what to do about it. My thought would be, like, how would you practically remove this gravel out of here? It's not really reasonable, right? So I'm kind of the opinion. And so kind of the opinion, if you came to this and stuff's established relatively well, there's no need to get rid of it, right? Not in my opinion anyway, but you use your common sense in the situation. And so this is one of those things where I think maintenance of bioretention systems is all about keeping our eye on the vision, which is, does the system drain? Are there plants in it? And therefore that is surrogate to, does it treat stormwater? And then making decisions about how best to manage it from there. In the case of this system, even though ideally there wouldn't have been gravel in here in the first instance, well, okay, one reason to put gravel in here is we have a weir that has water spill straight over the edge. So having some gravel on the surface will stop erosion because of that. So there is a call for, you know, rocks or gravel in erosion prone circumstances. But anyway, let's coming back to it. So when you've got a system that, you know, ideally we wouldn't have designed this with gravel, or I wouldn't have designed this with gravel in the first place. Once it's here, it doesn't automatically mean, oh yeah, we must remove it, we must remove it, we must remove it. No, instead I look at it and go, okay, practical, my two rules are always, does water drain through this system? Are there plants in it? At the moment, that clearly seems to happen here. And so I would be saying, the gravel's okay. And let's see what happens in a year, in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Maybe at some point, if it stops draining because, it started to block up, then maybe we need to do some work to unblock it and the gravel might go at that point. But I'm not going to spend all the effort getting in here doing that now when we've got a system where clearly the plants are this happy. Sweet. And so that's it for my thoughts on gravel in bioretention systems. It's not ideal, but it's not the end of the world. I probably wouldn't put it in there in the first instance, but if it's there and the system's still working, then sweet, let's just deal with it. If you have something to add to this video, if you have a question that you would like answered in a video, by all means, get in contact with us. You can find our details at ideanthro.com. Our connect page there has different ways for us to contact us. You can also ask a question. If you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, hit us up in the comments section and we will do our best to respond to you and do our best to make a video so that everyone can share in the knowledge. Sweet, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later. Bye.